AUKUS, also styled as Aukus, is a trilateral security pact between Australia, the United Kingdom, and the United States. The United States and United Kingdom will help Australia to develop and deploy nuclear-powered submarines, adding to the Western military presence in the Pacific region. Although the joint announcement by Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson and US President Joe Biden did not mention any other country by name, anonymous White House sources have stated it is designed to counter the influence of the People's Republic of China in the Indo-Pacific region, a characterization with which analysts have agreed. The agreement has been characterized as a successor to the existing ANZ-US pact between Australia, New Zealand and the United States, with New Zealand sidelined due to its ban on nuclear energy. But no official statement has been made on this. The agreement covers key areas such as artificial intelligence, cyber warfare, underwater capabilities, and long-range strike capabilities. It also includes a nuclear component, possibly limited to the United States and the United Kingdom, on nuclear defense infrastructure. The agreement will focus on military capability, separating it from the Five Eyes intelligence sharing alliance, which also includes New Zealand and Canada. Failure to consult the European Union. The agreement will include provisions enabling Australia to obtain nuclear-powered submarines, a process which will involve cancelling the troubled attack-class diesel-electric submarines program that was previously scheduled to replace the Collins class. The US will supply highly enriched uranium to Australia to power the submarines. Australia has agreed not to produce highly enriched uranium itself. This means that Australia would become only the seventh country to have nuclear submarines, after the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council: the US, China, Russia, the United Kingdom and France, and India. Nuclear submarines have greater speed and missile range, can stay underwater for longer, and are harder to detect and can carry heavier loads. The deal could also involve American nuclear-powered Virginia-class submarines operating out of HMAS Sterling in Perth. Federal opposition leader Anthony Albanese of the Labour Party said that his party would support nuclear submarines as long as there was no requirement to have a domestic civil nuclear industry, no possession of nuclear weapons, and that the deal is consistent with Australia's responsibilities under the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. Former Labour Prime Minister Paul Keating condemned the deal, saying, "This arrangement would witness a further dramatic loss of Australian sovereignty, as material dependency on the United States robbed Australia of any freedom or choice in any engagement Australia may deem appropriate." Former Labour Prime Minister Kevin Rudd warned against overly obtrusive criticism of China and recommended that Australia focus on quietly improving military capability. Former Liberal Prime Minister Tony Abbott called the move as the biggest decision that any Australian government has made in decades, as it indicates that we are going to stand shoulder to shoulder with the United States and the United Kingdom in meeting the great strategic challenge of our time, which obviously is China. Abbott said that Australia would be safer as a result, and cited China's increasing naval firepower as a justification for the deal. The French government received official notification from Australia that the attack-class submarine project was to be cancelled only a few hours before it was publicly announced. A meeting with French President Macron took also place on the 16th of June. The French government was angered by both the cancellation of the attack-class submarine project and not being made aware of the negotiations that led to the AUKUS agreement. In a joint statement, French Foreign Minister Jean-Yves Le Drian and Armed Forces Minister Florence Parly expressed disappointment at Australia's decision to abandon their joint submarine program with France, which was worth 90 billion Australian dollars and was to deliver 12 conventional submarines. Le Drian further stated in a radio interview that the contract termination was a stab in the back. Boris Johnson claimed the deal would create hundreds of high-skilled jobs and preserve security and stability around the world, but said that the relationship with France was rock solid. Joe Biden stated that the deal was a way to address both the current strategic environment in the region and how it may evolve. On the 16th of September 2021, New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern issued a statement reiterating New Zealand's stance that no nuclear submarines were permitted in its waters, while also stating that they were not approached about the pact and that she would not have expected them to have been approached. Australia and Brazil would be the first